What you see here is a program called Voicemeeter Banana, and it is a digital mixer. It allows you to take multiple hardware and digital inputs and mix them on your computer to multiple hardware outputs and digital outputs. You should be able to see here that I'm talking on this microphone right now. There are two other microphones as well, which I do have set up. I'm going to turn them on. It's going to sound a bit weird, but I just want to point it out. So we have two USB microphones, one of them to my left, one of them to my right. That would be me tapping on them. And then this one that I'm talking into right now is actually a standard XLR microphone plugged into an off-board USB mixer. You also happen to hear some Pandora chiptune playing in the background. That is here. Right now I can't adjust the level of it inside OBS, which is what I'm using to record with, because of how I have it set up. I'll get into that in a little more detail in a little bit. There's also another auxiliary input. So over here on the left is your output section. We have three outputs. Currently they are listed up here. This first one goes directly into my speakers on my sound card, which is actually going into my headphones. The second output here is my TV, which is my primary monitor right now, so it's audio over HDMI. And the third is a send back through my USB mixer. There's nothing plugged into the outputs right now. I just have it set that way so you can see what it's doing. Then there are the virtual outputs. Right now, virtual output 1 is what is feeding my OBS for recording. So you can see it right here moving as I move with the microphone. And as I bring OBS into the screen, you can see right here, so that's what's feeding that, and I'll get into the setup of this in a little bit. This other output right now I'm not actually currently using anywhere, but what's interesting about it, as I'll get to in a little more detail shortly, is that it is an 8-track. It is being used here in this 8-track audio recorder, which will record everything pre-fader, so you can do all these inputs in a post-edit. So, Voicemeeter Banana, free program. You can find it online. I'll give you links in the description of this video. It is currently prior to release, so there isn't a lot of information out there as far as manuals and what have you, but it's pretty simple. It basically allows you a 5-bus mix, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with certain controls. There's also some semi-user-friendly interface for how you would deal with the sound, etc. And we'll get into that in just a little bit too. But let's start at the beginning, and once you open it up, you have multiple input options. WDM is the fastest. You basically have multiple ways of looking at each input. So WDM has the least latency, KS the second least, MME the third least. But you can see here, this is one of the USB audio mics in front of me. Hopefully they aren't sounding too weird. We'll just turn them off for the moment. So this is one of the USB mics directly in front of me, and you basically click on it. And you heard a stop of sound there for a minute because it has to refresh. And so then the same over here. It happens to be the same make and model. It's a CAD U37. I just had them laying around at work, so I'm using them for this demo. So it's the same mic, and it has no problems identifying them individually. That has to do with how Windows handles IRQs and how it assigns information to USB. And then over here, hardware 3, it's just my USB device. Like I said, Voicemeeter VIO. This is not something you can adjust. The way you access that is you come down here to your playback devices. And once this opens up, you'll see all my normal playback devices. So, Voicemeeter input is the left one. Voicemeeter aux input is the right one. And you basically just set this as default. So what it allows you to do is all of your sound goes into here. So This is the same as selecting your speaker sound card, your regular speakers. Every program that automatically sends sound out will send sound to this input. Games, Pandora, as you're hearing, etc. Now, in certain instances, certain pieces of software, like Winamp, whenever it decides it wants to start, there we go, you can select another output. So you'd come into Winamp or VLC Media Player or Foobar Music Player, any of them that have selectable outputs. You'd come in, go to Direct Sound Output, and select Device, Voicemeeter, Aux Input. And then now you have sound over here. So that you can use as a secondary sound device. So you put your game sound will automatically come here, which is, as you can see here, 7.1 or 5.1. So you can still keep surround sound, like I have surround sound headphones for gaming with, 5.1 surround. So it'll actually output a 5.1 surround signal to the speakers, so I still keep my surround gaming. You can set it up for mono, stereo, quadrant, whatever you want. I just keep it at 7.1, partly because when you do 8-track, it uses 7 channels plus 1 channel as 8 tracks so that I get everything the way I want to hear it. So you set this up as your main. You can see here the aux is also playing because Winamp is still playing down here. So now once we're in here, we have to select the bus. Right now I have B1 set up to be the bus for OBS, which I'm only going to move this down a little bit in here, otherwise we get the video infinity loop, which would be lots of fun. So we go into settings and audio. So the reason Pandora is playing at full volume right now is because I have the desktop audio device as default. So it would be playing game sounds as default, as always. And then you could adjust the levels of it using this fader up here once your options window isn't open, of course. And then the auxiliary device, Voicemeeter output, is the left output here, B1. Voicemeeter output aux, where is Voicemeeter output? Aux, right here, is the right output, which, like I said, I have set up for the multi-track. But what this does is that I can take out the game sounds and I can still have all of my extra stuff, the microphone I'm talking in now, Winamp music or Foobar player music or any of that stuff be on a separate channel. So as normal, you can keep them independent of each other. So that's the basics of it. As far as these extra little things here, you've got some brightness settings. You can make it go low or high. And there's this, it's just interesting. You can you can add an echo and do very minimal adjustments to the sound. Double click and it goes back to neutral. There's also a gate setup. So you can see it goes down. I found 6 happens to work for me. Otherwise, if I stop talking and leave this at 0, you're gonna hear background sounds and things. It works exactly like the gate that's built into OBS, but this way you can have a gate on your first 3 channels, which are most likely going to be either an off-board mixer or a microphone. You can see there when it went all the way down, it was still getting some signal. I'm not sure if it's the heater in my apartment or what's going on, but that was there and it was just making, you get a little bit of hiss out of it. With the gate on, it prevents that. When it gets too low, it won't work. So then there's the compressor, which I am not very happy with. It's one pot compressors in physical form are not that great. In digital form, they certainly could be a lot better. I'm not even going to bother with it. What it does is it keeps it from getting too loud and also raises the floor at the same time, so it compresses your ceiling when you hit the top, lifts your floor. So if I run this up, I would actually have to run down my fader to keep it being too loud. So you come up here to this IntelliPan section again, and you heard I could go from low to high and sort of flavor the coloring of my voice. If you right-click it, you get into this modulation section, which can be fun or not, depending on what you want to do. Again, double-click sets it back to default. And then this is where it actually can be kind of interesting. I'm going to mute this mic and switch to the other two for this next section. So what you have here is panning, basically. And I have one mic to my right and one mic to my left. And it actually sounds that way as I move back and forth, although I think I have this backwards for you guys. So I may be talking in the left and you may have it heard in the right. Although now that I'm monitoring it, it sounds correct. So this is interesting if you're doing podcast work and you have multiple people in the room and you want to hear like there are multiple people in the room. You just set up your position. If I turn the center mic back on, which actually didn't turn it off, so now you can kind of hear it moving around the room. This is the center mic off, and now you have it moving back left and right. So back to this mic. Basically, that's all there is to the controls within this. Now, what gets really fun is when you come into the menu, you can hook the volume keys for output 1 or input 1. So what this will do is it'll allow you to use your normal volume keys, your normal volume controls if you have them on your keyboard or if you have them separately controlled. You move those keys and your volume will go up and down. I happen to have a Griffin PowerMate that I use for my TV volume, which normally I have them switched 1 and 2, but for this video I have them this way. But as I turn my PowerMate, you can see that the 1 goes up and down. Also, what happens to be in here is MIDI devices. So you can have different devices to run some of this stuff. And you can move the faders with the offboard controller, and I have mute buttons and unmute buttons and the like set up on the controller so you can hear it and mute it. And there's also a solo option which shuts down everything but the channel you've soloed. So that could be interesting. It allows you to have hardware access to your software mixer if you're in a full screen game. I should go over these modes over here. So you have multiple modes here. You've got normal mode, which means it will pass exactly what you send it. So here I'm sending 7.1 sound and is passing back 7.1 sound. You are hearing stereo sound because it only records stereo, but my headphones are 7.1. If I hit normal mode, it mixes down 7.1 to... if I hit mix down A mode, it mixes down into a stereo file. If I hit mix down B, it mixes down into a different stereo file. There's no literature yet as to explain what channels it joins up, so I'm not 100% on what it's doing, if it's like left center mix and center right mix, or how the 7.1 mixes down exactly. So there's stereo repeat mode, which takes 1 and 2, left and right, and mixes left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. So all the channels just get the stereo feed. And then there is composite feed, which I'm turning off immediately because it sounds awful to me, because output 1 is my headphones. So composite is what I'm using over here for this recording. So what composite does, we'll go in system settings. Composite takes whatever you make the patch be and makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for the 8-channel recording. You can send composite off-board through any of these outputs, which is what I just heard in my ears, which, like I said, is not that great. So you select what the composite patch is. So in this case, what I would be recording is left here, because I know that's a microphone, so it's mono. Left on 2, another microphone. And then I'm skipping over this microphone right now because I don't normally use a third microphone. So my last 5 channels are 5 channels of audio. Left, right, center, low pass. My last 6 channels is 5.1 audio. So I would individually record 5.1 sound. So if I have a game that has 5.1 surround sound outputs, the game would record individual tracks of left, right, center, subwoofer, side left or rear left, back left, back right, back left, back right, or side. If it's 5.1, if it's 7.1, I would probably switch these to back left and back right. So then down here you have this interesting thing, 22 channels of Voicemeeter insert ASO drivers. I do not have a hardware piece of ASO equipment. If I did, I could actually do inserts here so that the sound would come into the computer, out to the off-board device or virtual device on these channels. So I could insert an ASO compressor or an ASO equalizer or anything like that inside track 1's left, track 1's right, or virtual input 1. So I could take the music that I'm listening to, run it out through the ASO bridge, through a USB ASO bridge, into a piece of hardware, and back into the computer before I heard it. It's an interesting concept. I think it's a bit much, personally. Speaking of off-board devices, again, you're hearing the music right now prior to this piece of software. Let's mute that and unmute this song in Winamp, and I can affect the input. So you get a couple little equalizers there. And if that isn't enough for you, how about a 6-channel, or a 6-channel equalizer, where you can do anything you want. Low cuts. This, of course, affects the entire mix that you guys are hearing. So I can do a low cut here, and a high cut over here. Do a little bit of a radio notch. But you can do just about anything you want here. And mute the outputs, of course, so I can mute my headphones. And you just left-click to turn it on. Oh, hey, you wouldn't have heard any of what I just did because I had it turned off. But low-end notching. So you can hear that happening, probably. I will make sure. And they are stereo channel, so you can notch left and right differently. So that's sort of the basics of this software. I'm here. You can see the website up here, vbaudio or voicemeeter.com. I'm here on their website, and they happen to have, a little game that a lot of us play as one of their pictures. So you can use it as virtual audio mixer. Oh, hey, look, here's a little example of how you can use it. Now this, what you're seeing is Voicemeeter, the original version, not Voicemeeter Banana. Voicemeeter Banana has one more input physical, one more input digital, and two independent physical outputs and two independent digital outputs. Sorry, three physical outputs. But basically, this is exactly the same sort of idea. So you come to here and you can download the Voicemeeter itself. The next Voicemeeter is available on their Facebook page, which I'll take you to in just a moment. Again, the specifications for this are for the earlier version of Voicemeeter, not Voicemeeter Banana, which is due to release shortly. Sort of a breakdown of their physical and digital inputs. It is donationware, and here is Banana. So it's available soon. Direct download on their Facebook and G+ pages. VB Audio on Facebook. It's just facebook.com/VB Audio Software. And you can see here that people are downloading it. You can get it right here. They also have, if you want to get a little more into virtual audio, they also have VB cables, virtual cables, which I'm running for a different reason. But you can use these and have another internal sound card. That's a whole nother video if I do a whole nother video. But they also have a bunch of other free software. Most everything they have is donationware. But you should check them out. Okay, that pretty much covers it. I will let you guys know if there's going to be any more videos on this. Give me some feedback. Ask me some questions. I don't do this often, but we shall see. Take care. Have a good day.